Right now? Okay, so what we're doing is we have a graphics replacement system that we've introduced, and it's going to be able to replace graphics on buttons, especially on GM stereos and other stereos that peel. So we have an example button here that we've already sanded off. That's part of the process that we're going to show you today. And how to replace the graphics that you see here on this button. Okay, we're going to put a certain graphic on there. And basically this system is very simple. You have a translucent background and you have a foreground color. Two colors. You're going to pull the translucent one out. You're going to put it aside. You're going to set the solid background over it that has the graphic. You're going to put that graphic on the button and you're going to heat the button to can you cut that? You're going to heat that button so that that graphic stays firmly on the button, okay? It's just 4 steps, and we're going to show you that today in detail. Okay, that's it for the introduction. Kind of a bad introduction, but hey. Okay, so basically, like we said, you use 150 grit sandpaper, very small piece. You go over the button, you're going to sand that down and prep it. You're going to take 600 grit paper, very small piece again. You don't use much materials doing this. You're going to go around the button, just barely on the edge, around the button. Not much work required here at all. The stereo can be in the car when you're doing it. You don't need to have it out of the car. We just do right now as we're showing a sample. Okay, you do that. You're going to wipe the button down with some silicone wash and a rag. So you wipe it off. Make sure there's no dust, any contamination on there. On the button. Okay, your button's prepped. That's all you need to do. Basically, on the sanding, you only need to sand what's necessary. You don't actually have to necessarily sand the whole front of the button off. Just what's going to show through, the light that's going to show through your button. That's all you're worried about, okay? And now it's clean, it's prepped. We're going to take the background now. By the way, we have 2 colors. We have this color and a little bit lighter color, depending on the year and the stereo. Now, these graphics are all, of course, pre-cut. This is a background piece. I'm going to pull that out. We're going to set this here on this piece of free wax paper that we have. Now I'm going to take the foreground. This is the one that has the graphic cut into it. I'm going to take my transfer tape, which is this stuff here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut myself a little piece off. This transfer tape. This transfer tape will pull, it's got enough adhesion to pull this graphic off of this background, but less adhesion than this is going to have on the stereo face. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this and we're going to pull it off of there, as you see that. Very simple. Okay, now I have my graphic. Get this out of our way. And this is larger than the background. So we're going to take this and we're going to put it on the background. I'm going to just stand up here so I can get this centered. Okay. So I can get this thing centered right over here, lay it on there. Okay, that's that. Now this is very important. You don't want to pull this graphic off this background. You want to leave it on. So what I'm going to do, I am going to just pull this to the side, pull it off and leave that on the background. Okay, now usually for this video I'm going to try to do this without a magnifying glass. Usually I use a magnifying glass with a light and the tip of my knife. I can see it real nice and big. But for this we're just going to pull these letters out so the camera can see them. And here's how we do it. You just get to the edge of the letter and you just start to peel a little bit like this. Okay, you have a set of tweezers. Has to be a good set of tweezers. And we will pull this off the background. Just so. Okay? And we're going to do that with all those letters. If you want to stop the video here and wait till I get to the end, they can show me, or just keep running it? Okay. So we'll keep pulling these off. Now you cannot pull these graphics off like I'm doing while it's still on the original paper, the wax paper, because what would happen is you would end up pulling out the center of the letters and other things like that. So what we're going to do is that it has to be done like we're showing you here once it's been placed on the translucent background. That's the only time you can do this. Also, with this process, it needs to be done in a cool spot. You cannot do this in over 80 degrees. 80 degrees would be maximum temperature you'd want to do, and preferably a little bit less. So if you're working in a car itself, you don't have to take the stereo out at all. If you're working in the car, you would actually turn the air conditioning on in the car and let your material acclimate for maybe 5 to 10 minutes before you try to do what I'm doing right now. Okay, so we're going to finish pulling these out. Okay, just like that. The cooler it is, the easier it is to accomplish this task, though. Okay, almost done. Okay, almost there. You notice how if you can see this, I'm pulling up around the M. I'm not just yanking up, I'm actually following the graphic as I pull up. It makes it much easier. It doesn't have a tendency to tear as much, although you're going to have some tearing when you're doing this job. Okay, as you see, I'm going around the barn here. Okay, that's it. Now we have our graphic, if you can see it there. We're going to go back to the transfer tape again. Okay, put the transfer tape back up over this again. Okay, press firmly on that. It comes right off the backing. Now we're going to go over to the stereo face, and normally I have to do this. I'm in front of the stereo. For the camera, we're going to try to actually set it up here so we can get a shot here. But what you want to do is you want to line this up. The graphic is a little bit larger than the button, and you have to try to straighten it, line it, make sure it's centered. Okay. I'm going to press down a little bit. I want to get this material down onto the button so I can get the transfer tape off. So now I'm going to pull this transfer tape back at an angle, just like that. I've laid that on there now. Now what we're going to do is we want to go starting with the center of each section. We're going to bend this over the button. Okay? Smooth it out. Little by little around the edge. Okay? Going good. Okay? Bend it around the button like that, like so. Now we need to add some heat. So I'm going to add some heat to it. .350 degrees on a heat gun. What this will do is this will give us it'll give the material a new memory. The material was flat. It was molded flat. So with the heat at 350, which by the way isn't too hot, it won't really even burn your hand that much. It's not going to do any damage to the stereo face whatsoever. But what it will do is it will be enough heat to give this vinyl a new memory. So it will wrap around that button and not have a tendency to want to lift. So I get right up on this, if you can see here. I'll set it up. What's that? Okay, right here. So we're just going to get right up on it. And then I will go around the button and I will make sure that all these corners lay down for me. Okay, make sure it's all around with your finger. You can use a tool if you'd like. Either way. Just make sure you get it nice and hot for a few seconds, 10, 15 seconds. That's all you need. Now you've really given this material a new memory. So it wants to stay on there. It won't want to peel off. Now this material will stay on here permanently. But for the first 24 hours or so, it is easier to pull off than it will be after 24 hours. So that's it. That is the process. That button has, as you can see, has a graphic on it. Looks like the rest of the stereo. Any graphic can be done this way. Yeah. Saves you the money. Saves your dealer the money.